have them. Just so you guys know, this is not a class where you should feel bored. This is a party. This is a celebration. We are going to get you pre-approved, and I'm probably going to go live here in about 2 seconds. So I'll give her 2 more seconds, and then we're going to get the party started. Rules are, there are no rules. Feel free to answer any questions that you may have. I am Loans by Natasha Robinson. I have been a loan officer over 20 years. I got in the business because no one would finance the loan that I needed, which was a renovation loan. So I decided to learn the product. And when I realized how many people that didn't have the information on the product, I actually went from the closing department to the processing department. And I found my love in the originating department. And that's pretty much where I ended up staying. So was going for like a little part-time job just to help make money to finish a renovation project, and ended up being a loan officer and servicing the community. So we're going to talk today about buying like a boss. This is everything that you need to know about purchasing your first home. Many of you today are here from the expo from New Life on Saturday. We are trying to make 100 new home buyers just from that event. And what we're trying to do is give you all the tools to be dangerous to help you get to the next level for you and your family. The objectives, we're going to find out, are you ready to purchase a home today? You want to learn what you need to prepare. You want to understand mortgage financing and learn about what we have to offer here at Guarantee Rate Affinity. We have multiple programs from the broker side to FHA to VA to conventional. As promised, I am going to go over down payment assistance on this call as well, so we can let you know what programs Guarantee Rate has available. And then I want you to also know the difference between a grant and down payment assistance, because that is also very important. Once again, please ask any questions in the chat. We will get to those questions, but we want to make sure that you are taking something from this PowerPoint today, from this presentation today, that you can utilize for your home ownership journey. Knowledge is power, right? Why buy instead of rent? The way that I explain this to my clients is that if you rent for 30 years, after you're done renting for 30 years, you're going to still have to rent. The whole purpose of us working hard at our younger ages and putting money into our 401ks and purchasing our first property, which is why the government has programs so everyone can have a piece of the pie at least one time around, is so that way you can have something like a paid off house. So guess what? We work hard every day to pay what? Our house, our car note, our rent, our car note, and our credit card bills. Those are the bulk of what we work hard to pay every day. So if you just pay your mortgage for 30 years, you're not an investor, you're not a house hacker, you're just somebody that just purchased a home and paid your mortgage for 30 years. Your house will be free and clear. And the only thing that you will have to pay is your taxes and your insurance. And as you get older, the city will freeze your taxes, which is an entire different conversation. But it gets to the point where if you put money in your 401k, if you purchased your home and paid it off, you don't have to make as much money to retire because you've put some things in place. So when you are paying rent, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. I have a lot of tenants, and guess what? It's okay being a tenant, but you want to work towards being the owner, because guess what? I don't know if you've noticed in some of the communities, you can see by the church, and thank goodness the church has purchased a lot of the properties by the church. But in other communities like Inglewood and Bronzeville and North Kenwood, yes, this one will be recorded, you are seeing the neighborhoods change drastically. So if you don't buy property in your community, you may not have the opportunity to live there, because the person who owns the property will determine if they're going to rent to you. If you own your own property, you are the one to determine if you're going to be able to stay in that community. So as things are gentrifying, as we say, the way to stabilize your seat in your neighborhood is through ownership. And if you're one of those people where you lived in a neighborhood like I did, I'm from the west side of Chicago, Roosevelt and Kedzie, properties there were probably going for $500, people trying to give them away. Now you can't even purchase a property in that community, right? So with that being said, don't be scared to invest in the communities that you're from, especially if you're house hacking, because in the house hacking world, you can start there and then you can grow into your next neighborhood. My first property was on Congress and Costner, okay, 3 unit. And my second property was California in Jackson, 2 unit. And then I was able to purchase a single family on 47th, right? So I had to move my way up, but I did that through house hacking. Are you ready to purchase your first home? This is the magic question of the day. And I know we didn't talk about this on the panel, right? But are you ready to purchase your first home? And the question is, that is what we have to check out. You pretty much, I tell everybody, even if I can get you all the down payment assistance in the world and the seller can pay your closing costs, you want to at least have $3,000 in the bank. Why? Because you have to pay what's called earnest money when you purchase a home. That is the deposit on your contract. You can get that money back if you have all 100% credits, like through down payment assistance and through seller concessions. You can actually get that money back. But to start the party, you have to invest in earnest money, which is normally at least $1,000. And then in addition to that, you also have to have a home inspection. And some people, some realtors may tell you, you don't have to have a home inspection. Well, just like you should have life insurance and health insurance, you should have a home inspection. What it'll do is help you not purchase a property that may have severe problems that you can get out of before you start that party. And in addition to that, you have to pay for your appraisal. So those are 3 things in a transaction that you want to have that money for. Credit score. You can purchase a home with a 540 credit score. I know you guys talked to NACA. They could do a purchase with a 500 credit score. I talked about that on the Zoom, right? With that being said, you want to be able to purchase a home where you can have additional credit or backup, right? Like you don't want to get into a property and you're purchasing this property and now you have no more funds. So God forbid something was to happen. Now you don't have anything to fix your furnace, or if you don't have credit, then you can't get to your next level in your home ownership. I started out with a very low credit score, did credit repair, credit score went all the way up, things happened, went down, and guess what? I brought it back up. But everybody should normalize wanting to have at least a 660 credit score. But I would say 680 to 720 is where you want to reach your goal. But in starting the home ownership process, for us, 580 is the minimum credit score. I would say you want to try to at least have a 640, because with your 640 credit score, you can qualify for the IDA grant. You can qualify for our other grants. So the higher your credit score, the better your interest rate, the better programs are available for you. And then you just have more options to do multiple things, right? As I mentioned, down payment assistance can help you with the down payment. Seller can assist you towards your closing costs, but you want to at least have that $3,000. Another thing that I'm going to tell you is when you meet my team, you'll probably get to meet Colleen on my team after you do your application, and she's going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you, what do you qualify for? Okay. And what that is like, I might say you qualify for a purchase price of $300,000 and your mortgage is going to be $2,500. You may have other things going on that I don't know about, right? For me, I have a kid in art school, right? So that costs me another $1,000 a month that my lender probably wouldn't see because it goes on a credit card automatically every month, right? And then it's just paid. So even if I tell you that I can get you into a home for $2,500, you want to make sure that you can afford the payment that I am giving you. So if you're paying $1,500 every month for rent, and you spend all of your money and you really don't have anything left over, then it may be more feasible for you to stay with a mortgage of $1,500, or maybe just a little more or a little less, because it's not about what you qualify for, it's about what you can afford. We have some people that qualify for way more than they can afford because they look really good on paper. And then we have people that qualify for way less, right? Because maybe they're not claiming taxes, or maybe they have a job that we legally can't use right now, or maybe they have a partner that doesn't have sufficient credit, but they give them money every month. So there are people who qualify for less but can pay more, but there are people who qualify for more that should pay for less. So that should pay less. So just make sure that you can afford the mortgage that you're taking on. So that way, that you're not setting your family up for success. This is the beginning of building wealth for your family. So what you don't want to do is cause a hardship. You want to go in easy. And everybody wants to purchase their dream home. And I am here to tell you that even myself, my first home was not my dream home. So don't focus on your dream home. Focus on building, house hacking, so that way you can utilize your properties to pay for that dream home. If you guys heard Jamal King speak at the event, I didn't hear the entire presentation, but I've been with him for over 8 years. And one thing he's going to tell you is buy a property for every bill that you want, right? And he's going to tell you that first property wasn't his dream home, but he did eventually get that dream home. So if you're utilizing that formula, our programs can help you make that work, right? Getting started, you all have already downloaded my home buyer's guide, which is absolutely amazing. We do have a loan application that if you're ready, if you feel you have a, at least a 580 score, I'm going to challenge you to push for a 640. Terry from the event this weekend, she has a free set of information that can help you really build up your credit yourself, so that way you don't have to pay anyone. She's going to send me that to you, so I'll definitely blast all of that out to you guys as well. In addition to that, 640 credit score, you've been on your job for 2 years. And guess what? If you just graduated from college, that counts as time on your job, right? So if you got your associate, if you received your associate degree or your bachelor's degree, or you did even some trades and nursing schools can fit into that, then you don't have to technically be on the job. You just have to have the time in school with the degree and at least one pay stub. And say, for instance, you've been on this job for 6 months, but you work 2 years of your life, then we can also count the prior jobs into this time frame as well. So 2 years on the job, 580 minimum credit score, 640 starts getting you into the good down payment assistance. You want to have at least $3,000 in your account. If you're a house hacker and you want to purchase a 3 to 4 unit property, what you really want to have is the $3,000 plus hopefully a 401k or whole life insurance policy where you have what's called reserves, right? When you're a house hacker and you're looking at 3 to 4 units, reserves are mortgage payments. So what that is if your mortgage payment is $3,000 and you want a house hack and you want to buy a 3 to 4 unit FHA, you have to have 3 months of your mortgage payment saved, plus your down payment, which can be covered from down payment assistance, plus your closing costs, which can be covered by the seller, right? But even if the down payment assistance and the seller credit kick in, if you're house hacking and you buy a 3 to 4 unit property, you will need those extra reserves. It can be a 401k, it could be a whole life policy. It's not money that you spend, but it is money that you'll need in the transaction. If you are purchasing a 1 or 2 unit FHA, you do not need any reserves. And I'm just going to check in now to see if you guys have any questions. Any questions? Okay. Well, we'll keep it going here. We're going to go over the basics. How much can I afford, right? Maximum mortgage amount, down payment equals the purchase price, okay? So when we talk about how much you can afford, we're going to look at your debt to income ratio. I'm going to give you guys a quick cheat sheet of how you can determine your debt to income ratio. So on an FHA loan, we can go to a 56% debt to income ratio. What is a debt to income ratio? It sounds like an algebra equation or Spanish, right? So debt to income is your debt versus your income. So if you make $1,000 a month, you can only spend in the FHA world $560, right? So that means you'd be at 56%. So $1,000, meaning once we count your mortgage payment, your minimum credit cards, that can't exceed 56% of your total income. You make $10,000 a month, you can have $5,600. So if you have $4,000 in credit card debt, you can have a $1,600 mortgage. If you have $1,600 in credit card debt, you can have a $4,000 mortgage. And don't you guys worry, you don't need to calculate your own debt to income ratio. That's my job. But when you start hearing these terms, just wanted you to know a little bit about what it means and kind of what we're saying. But I will calculate your debt to income ratio. And when you are purchasing a multi-unit property, I get to add back the rent from the units that you're not going to be living in. So if you're purchasing a 4 unit, I can count income from 3 other properties. So some people might say, well, I only make $3,000 a month. Well, I might be able to add another $4,500 in income dependent on the market rent for the vacant units if you're purchasing a 4 unit, right? So keep that in mind. And I know this is a lot of information, so you don't have to be worried about knowing how to do this. When you do your application, I'm going to have a one-on-one with you, and I'm going to go over this individual with you based on the property that you want to purchase based off your profile. But these are just the things that we're going to talk about on the call. What do lenders look for? We talked about that. We're looking at the credit history, debt to income ratio, right? If you pay child support, alimony, things like that. The biggest thing, guys, is the IRS, okay? Like if you are paying the IRS, that tells me that you owe the IRS some money. So when we see your bank statements, it tells us a lot about you. And that's how we determine how to pre-approve your file, by reviewing the documents. So I do have a question, Brandy. Thank you. I love questions. So I challenge all of you guys to ask a question. What is pre-approval? How would income be counted for it if you were laid off for an extended time? Good question. So a pre-approval is when you complete a loan application and your income is reviewed by an underwriter or a licensed loan officer like myself, and then I issue what's called a pre-approval. That means you are pre-approved and you have the ability to go and search for properties. Now, there is a such thing that I call a pre-approval. And what that is that lenders will let you state information on your application and they will give you a pre-approval based off of what you say. I don't do that. I won't do it. And the reason why is because when you get a pre-approval from Natasha Robinson, that means that you can close in 3 weeks. And in this market, the sellers are looking for individuals that are ready to close and that are ready to purchase. So if you give them a pre-approval from companies, and I won't say anyone's name, but there are some companies where you can go in and do an instant. Now, Guarantee Rate does have the ability to issue an instant pre-approval for perfect buyers. But when I see those come out, I still issue them a real pre-approval, and they look different. But the pre-approval just means that we looked at your income, we looked at your assets, and you are ready to go. If you were laid off for an extended amount of time, for FHA, if you were off work for 3 years, let's just do a long time, and we're gonna pray that wasn't the situation, Brandy. But if you were off work for 3 years and you worked 10 years of your life, as long as, if you've been off work for 6 months, as long as you are back on your job for 6 months and you are an hourly person that gets 40 hours a week every pay period during that 6 months, or a salary person, then we can utilize your income after 6 months being back in the game with the job. If you were only laid off for 4 months, anything less than 6 months, then you don't have to be back on your job for 6 months, but you do have to have 2 years of working history in your life. So I'm going to go back and repeat that because that was a lot of information. And this is a guideline that a lot of people really don't know. So what Brandy is asking is, if she's out of work, if she was laid off, just couldn't find a job, if she quit her job, if she was on maternity leave and just decided I didn't want to go back to work, whatever your reason was that you were off work, you can actually get a new house as long as you were not off work for 6 months. If you were off work for 6 months, then you have to be back on for 6 months. If you were off work for 5 months and 29 days and it was not 6 months, then all I need is a 2-year working history for FHA. But if you are off for 6 months, you have to be on your job for 6 months, getting 40 hours a week, or on salary, meaning your income is not declining or fluctuating, or variable is what we call it, pretty much consistent, then I would be able to get a loan for you right away. Or if it hasn't been 6 months off, but if it has, once you've been on the job for 6 months, then we can put you into that home. Next question, you just leased a brand new car. How does that affect your pre-approval? So basically, we're going to count that debt. So I always tell people, it's not about how much money you spend, it's about how much money you make, right? So if you purchased a new car and your car note is $1,500, but you make $20,000 a month, that's not a problem for me. But we talked about debt to income ratio. So if you make $10,000 a month, right? and you just bought this new car. We talked about debt to income ratio. If anybody can put in the chat, if you make $10,000 a month, how much on an FHA loan can I have in debt, give or take, right? How much you guys think you can have in debt? Come on, let me see. Let me see who's still woke here. Let me see who woke here. 40. Okay, we got some answers. So 56%. So you'll be at $5,600. Okay. Thank you for replying. So you'll be 5,600. That's 56%. Okay. And that's your back end ratio. So we have some other things that we do on the front end. I'm just giving you basic math. So with that being said, if you leased a car for $1,600, I would still be able to get you a mortgage for $4,000 if you didn't have any other debt. Now, say for instance, you had $5,600 in debt already and you go lease this car. Now you don't want to, now you won't qualify for the mortgage because you have that lease. And with leases, we can't exclude lease payments because most people that have leases, when the lease is up, they're going to buy another lease, right? Because a lot of time leasers continue to lease. So with that being said, you always want to purchase the house before the car. But if you have a severe situation where you have to make a decision, get your pre-approval done, and then let us give you the advice based off your file, because there is no one rule for everyone. Everybody's situation is their situation, unfortunately. I have another question. My son lives with me. He pays one half the rent. Can I include his income? He's 25. Congratulations, getting some help because my son has been it's definitely an expense. So congratulations for getting some help from your son. You cannot use it as your income. Income is something that has to continue for 3 years. Your son can go on the purchase with you if you want to purchase a new home and you guys are going to live together. He can go on a loan with you as an occupied cosigner or a non-occupying cosigner. But the rent that he's giving you, you won't be able to use for the transaction. The only income you can use is income that will continue for 3 years with a guarantee, such as child support, alimony. And there's no guarantee with any income, but son paying you half of your rent, he can stop at any time. So there's no guarantee that you'll get that for 3 years, which is why we wouldn't be able to use that particular income in the transaction. But if your son went on the loan with you, as a co-signer, then we would be able to use his income to help you qualify. Is your credit really that important? Is your credit really that important? I'm gonna tell y'all a story because I have a lot of stories, but I did a rehab loan and I didn't have any money when I bought this property. I just had a dream and I just was just going out on a limb, and it was a lot of work. And I had good credit. And when I ran out of money, I took my little 720 credit score to Home Depot. I got like a $25,000 line. I took it to Lowe's. I think I got like 15 at Lowe's, Menards, and my credit helped me finish that project. If it wasn't for my credit, I don't know if I would have been able to finish. I was able to get no interest for 18 months. Same with my mother. She bought her house, she did her rehab, and she put everything on credit cards, but she paid it off in 18 months. She had a plan. Credit really matters. Like if your credit score is a 680 and you're purchasing a home and someone else is purchasing it for 620, your interest rate might be a 0.5% higher based off the credit score. So credit really does matter. So it doesn't matter where you are. And guys, don't think that you got to have perfect credit to purchase a home, right? If you have a 640 or better, you are good to go. But I always tell everyone in my database, get your house and then continue to work on building your credit, because your credit will follow you wherever you go, and your credit just determines lots of decisions. Like I'm a loan officer, they actually pulled my credit for my license, right? So just always just think about having good credit, and as long as you don't pay it 30 days late. Like I've had times where I paid my mortgage on the 29th, on the last day of the month. Just try to do what you have to do just to not make late payments. And another trick is if you want to get more credit, ask for credit before you need it. So if you're in a hardship and you're about to go max out all your credit cards, try to get increases on the credit cards before you max them out. Because if you stay at 50%, it doesn't matter. You can owe 100,000 in credit, but if your availability is 200,000, then you're not that's not somebody that has bad credit. You just have a lot of debt, but that's not bad when your when your credit ratios are low. And I'm no credit repair person. Terry can talk to you guys about that. I just want to inspire you guys to have good credit. And I do see a few more questions. How long does the loan approval and closing process usually take? How can I go from my first property to owning multiple buildings and then my dream home in the future? So those are good questions. The loan pre-approval, if you send us everything in the email, our pre-approval process takes from 2 hours to 72 hours. Sometimes we need third-party verifications. Most of the time, clients do not send all of their documents. We love PDFs in lieu of screenshots. Downloaded documents, like I said, screenshots are very hard for us. So if you have the ability to log into that ADP portal, download your W-2s, your pay stubs, your 1 month recent bank statement, we generally can get back to you with a pre-approval very quickly. But like I said, between 2 hours and 72 hours is pretty much the process. You could purchase your first property. You start with a 4-unit, you live in it for a year, then you could purchase a 2-unit, and then you could purchase a single family, and you could do all of those purchases with 3 to 5% down. And then once you purchase that third property, you can start utilizing the equity in the first 2 properties. So then go out and purchase 8-unit, 6-unit, or whatever the situation is. But great questions. Thanks, Ebony. We talked about credit, the do's and don'ts. I would just tell you guys, do maintain good credit. Do not say, hey, I'm gonna go pay everything off and then call Natasha. You'll be better off just doing your application, and we'll advise you if you need to do anything else. Pay your debt on time. And then if you have things that you are doing with your credit, you know what I'm saying? Ask your loan professional first. Like, a lot of times people are calling me and then they are not, they're calling me after they do things. We are busy, and we're grateful for Pastor Glenn and everyone that refers me so much business, but we do have time for you. You can shoot us emails. I have a very large team, but don't worry, you can ask us a question, we'll answer it, so that way you can know what to do instead of just trying to wing it and guess it. That's what you have the professionals for. I do see a question. Are there any unique grant or loan opportunities for first time purchasing directly from their landlord? So the programs are the programs. If you purchase from your landlord or any property you don't know, you'll still qualify for our grant programs. And I'm going to click here shortly to get to those because we're already at 6:33. So that way we can go over those. But yes, you can purchase your landlord's property. Sometimes there's a contingency if you go FHA. And that means they just want to see that you are in a lease with your landlord and you're actually making payments to your landlord in the form of a money order, Zelle, cashier's check, a way that we can source it. But conventional doesn't have the same guidelines. So Brady, we can talk about that one-on-one, but we can definitely get you in there. I'm actually doing one for someone right now. He's purchasing, and we are getting him the $15,000 grant. I already own my personal primary residence. Is my only option for an investment property a conventional loan with 25% down, or are there other options? So this is the magic question, Camelia. And congratulations on being a homeowner. So it just depends is the answer. If you are in your primary residence and you are looking to house hack and you are looking for something, if you're looking for a property and you are not going to live there, the answer is yes. It'll be between 15 and 25% down. 20 to 25 is what we're seeing the most of. There are hard money lenders out there that can do 10%. I definitely can refer you. If it's something that I can't do, I love to refer you to someone else. If you plan on living in the property, it has to make sense. It has to be bigger, better, close to your job, or if you're retired and you're downgrading, you have to have a really good reason. And what I tell my clients is that if it's the truth, it'll work. But if it's, something, that you saw on Instagram or YouTube, all my Making Real Estate Real students. But with that being said, if you're really going to live there, it'll work. If not, then yes, you'd have to do the 15 to 25% down. But you can encourage, you may have a brother, a sister, a son, a husband, a boyfriend, right? There may be someone else that doesn't own a property that can start that house hacking way. But if you are going to live in the property, you can still purchase that second property and do as low as 3 to 5% down. But if you're not going to live there, you'd be looking 15 to 25% down, leaning more on 20 to 25, and then you'd be pushing to go into the hard money lender eventually. When you say you need that information, you need the information for the private money lender, Chanel. If so, I'll get that over to you. How much money do I need for down payment? 3 to 5%. The 20% is a myth. So you don't have to put 20% down if you are a owner occupied person purchasing a home. We talked about debt to income ratio. I like to get down to the point on the debt to income ratio as soon as possible. I won't bore you with all of these terms. We're going to be having multiple Zooms for you guys, so that way we can get you, where you need to be. Right now, we'll talk about different loan products that we have. So we have fixed rate mortgages. You pretty much want to be on a 30-year. If you're someone that can afford a 15-year mortgage, then definitely, you can do a 15-year mortgage. I just priced out a 15-year mortgage and the rate was almost the same as the 30. So once again, talk to a real estate professional that cares about you so we can talk it through and make the best decision for you and your family based off the facts. Okay. Adjustable rate mortgages, these are more common again, right? On FHA, my rate might be 5.99 on a 30-year fix. It might be 5.2 on an ARM. An ARM means it is fixed for a certain amount of years, 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years. You want to stay away from ARMs if you can, but if you really have a situation, I know I'm not going to live there for 5 years. I know I'm not going to live there more than 7 years or 10 years, then you could take advantage of that lower rate. So definitely keep that in mind as well. We offer jumbo loans, conforming loans, government loans, FHA, VA, USDA. I don't know if you guys know, but I am definitely a renovation specialist. I'm the #1 specialist at Guarantee Rate Affinity. I love renovation loans. They are not hard if you find a contractor. So if you want to do a renovation loan, you definitely want to get some contractors in your Rolodex, so that way you can get through that process. We will have a renovation Zoom coming here soon. So that way we can go over the renovation loan products for you guys as well. Right? Our lock and roll, we won't worry about that right now. So we do have affordable loan programs for you guys. We do community lending. We have ITN programs. If you don't have a social security number, we can definitely help you with that as well. And I'm going through these steps pretty quickly because, like I said, I want to talk to you about the down payment assistance. Steps to a perfect loan. It's really 1 month of pay stubs, 1 bank statement. So we'll email you the list of the documents that you need in your portfolio. The only thing that I want you guys to remember from this call is it's just like going to court. If I don't ask you for tax returns, please do not send them to me. They do more harm than they help. And then when we ask for LOX, which means letter of explanation, you want to be simple and sweet. You want to be simple enough so we know what you're talking about. But when you are talking on the letter of explanations, I have client like, yeah, I had 3 wives, or my ex-husband. Trigger words like that now mean, okay, now I need to get your divorce decree because you have the ex-husband, right? Even though you are married now. So sometimes the things that you say can make the underwriter ask questions. So always follow lead on your loan officer, and you want to kind of be simple and sweet. But when myself or Colleen talks to you, we're going to walk you through what you need for your loan profile. So we'll advise you what's needed, and you should only pretty much give us what we ask you for. If we need anything additional, we'll definitely request that on our own to prevent any mishap in your loan process. Once you get a pre-approval, so you apply for application, you complete that application. It is a soft credit pool. Once you complete that application, you will hear from my team member, Colleen. She will call you back. We will talk about where you live, where you work, how much money you earn, and we will go ahead and get your file set up for success. Once that pre-approval is issued or denied or whatever the situation is, then I'll give you a call back. We'll talk about next steps, and we'll get you to those next steps. And that's pretty much our process. Once you get your pre-approval, you start searching for a realtor. Most people find the realtor and then they look for the lender. You want to get pre-approved first, and then you want to, start working with a realtor so they can start showing you properties. Why? You want to look at properties that you can afford. If you go look at an $800,000 house, but you only qualify for a $300,000 house, you may not like the $800,000 house anymore. So it makes your search harder. So you want to search in the price range that you qualify for. So that's why we get the pre-approval out. Once you get an executed contract, we may need updated documents, and then we work to get you to processing into the finish line for you, into the finish line. At the expo, someone asked me this question. I thought it was a really good question because you guys have multiple realtors and you have multiple lenders. And they said, what makes you different from other lenders? And it was very interesting because I haven't been asked that question. So I was very excited that somebody asked me something, this question. And what I told the client is that this is a contact sport, right? Real estate is a contact sport. So we're going to get you pre-approved. We're going to work with the listing agent. We're going to reach out to the listing agent. We're going to communicate before you go under contract, right? And we're going to help you get to the finish line. That speed, the efficiency, and the communication is how you win deals. A lot of the properties may have 10 people bidding on them at the same time. The seller is going to choose the person that they feel are going to get the loan closed the fastest, the person that they feel is knowledgeable, and the person that they feel is communicative in the beginning all the way to the end. I can't get my words out today. So with that being said, that's what makes me different. In addition to my fabulous team, we know what we're doing and we work hard for you. I do work on the weekends and we work until 8:30, just because we want to make sure that we're available to reach out and help you win those deals. So just wanted to kind of throw that in there for you as well. I have over 20 years experience. Our process is pretty quick. Our underwriting turn times are 24 to 48 hours. We offer full products and services, like I said, from FHA, VA, conventional. We are not a broker, even though I do have over 3,600 broker loans I can do if I choose. I generally work directly with the government because I get the best interest rates, the best programs, and I have control. We underwrite everything in-house, even my renovation loans. We even service them after you close, and it's a pretty big deal. I have a deal that just came in last Thursday, and she wants to close on Thursday, and she's giving me 7 days to close. So it looks like for compliance reasons, I might not be able to close to Friday. But because I have internal control, we're going to try to make that happen for her. However, a healthy closing is within 3 weeks, just so no one is stressing, and it'll give everyone time to have some error. So on every contract, we try to get the agents to put 30 days, but we try to get you clear to close within those 21 days, just so you can just focus on who's going to be moving you in, like where is the moving truck and all of that good stuff. A question is, do you help get the grant for first responders? So there is a first responder grant that I saw that only works with this one specific lender. So I don't know any I don't know any details about that. The city of Chicago used to have a first responder grant that they went away with. Now they pretty much just have the grants that are available. So last year we had some different grants, which may come back, which it was Cook County grant and the CHAC grant, which were pretty big grants, and then the MMRP. Right now, those are out of funds, but pretty much the grants are available to everyone. If you're looking in Indiana, Gary does have a $30,000 grant for first responders, that's specifically for first responders. But if there's any programs that you hear about, you can email them to me, because sometimes they come out with things and we just have to get signed up with them as well. Guarantee Rate Affinity, is the second largest retail lender. We're very good at what we do. We've been around for a long time. What I love about the company is the owner actually started out just like me, and he happened to open a huge company. Another question is, what was the name of the grant for the first responders? I don't have a grant for the first responders. I've seen a company advertise something for that, but I haven't seen any lenders that I know of that have a program. So I did see something that one of my clients sent me and I researched it. So I'm not for sure the details of that, but the one I mentioned was Gary, Indiana has a first time responder grant for $30,000 if you buy in Gary. And you can register for that grant with the city of Gary. And once you get your certificate, I can add that $30,000 to your loan. And you do have to be a first responder, EMT. You have to be a first responder to get the $30,000. And if you're not, they have a $15,000 option. I did want to talk about some of our down payment assistance programs. So we do have the IDA grant. The IDA grant is this grant that has been here before I started. And IDA has been around for a long time. You may hear them when they were paying people's rents. So IDA does a lot for